Hello? Can anyone hear me? I think I'm picking something up. A person? Oh, Arceus, what a discovery. Where are you? Are you stuck in there? Huh. Let's start with the basics. Can you tell me your name? Herbert? Is that correct? Oh, I suppose not. Then you must be Rosie, correct? Oh, so you're neither. Or perhaps you are both? No matter. Why don't you tell me what you look like? Ah, so that is how you look. Perhaps it is. Perhaps it is not. It seems there are many of you listening right now. Thousands of possible identities who all call themselves you. Shattered and hurtling through that wormhole. Isn't it fascinating? Sorry, I started rambling, didn't I? Oh, judging by my readings, an exit should be fast approaching. Soon, you'll find yourself in a world like no other. A world inhabited by wondrous creatures that we call Pokémon. Oh, it sounds exciting, doesn't it? I'm excited just thinking about it. Well, stranger from the wormhole, it seems your journey is almost up. Although, I'd be inclined to say that it is only just beginning. My friend? I look forward to meeting you.
Hello everyone and welcome to Ryoma Art. This is an art channel that has been designing Pokémon or Fakemon for about a year. Well, on and off. In my previous videos, I spent time creating Pokémon for my own hypothetical region based on South America and the Caribbean, showing you all my design process. However, in my time since then, I've been working on a brand new project, a full Pokédex, set of characters, and story concept for a Pokémon Legends game set in sunny Unova, Pokémon Legends Taorum. It's been a while in the making, but I'm excited to share my work with you today. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, such as, what's a Taorum? What happened to your Politoed, and why are you dressed like that? But worry not, all will be revealed in due time. However, if you're wondering about that ominous cold open, here's the bottom line. You are one of two player characters, one strangely similar to Pokémon Black and White's Hilbert, and one strangely similar to Pokémon Black and White 2's Rosa. You've just been hurtling through a wormhole and you're about to find yourself face down on Sky Arrow Stretch, just outside a strangely Art Deco version of Castelia City. This story takes place 70 years before the Unova region that you know, swapping the bustling diversity of modern Castelia for something a little bit more noir, a little more retro, a little more black and white, if you will. Your adventure through this detective noir style Unova will be filled with new, yet old characters, exciting boss fights, a whole host of new Pokémon forms and evolutions, and maybe even a better insight at the secret past of the Unova region. Pretty standard for a Legends game. Plus, you'll of course get to see and hear about my personal creative process. So, prepare for an epic journey into the past, because I think you're just about to wake up.
You're here! You're actually here! No need to get up. It must have been quite a journey. We can just chat while you're on the floor, I suppose. The name's Constance, Chief Scientist for the Plasma Investigations Office. It's a pleasure to meet you. Aw, shucks. Fired out of a wormhole and already so sweet. You wouldn't believe the fright I got when that portal appeared. A few days of observation later, and out pops a kid. I tell ya, what a time to be alive. Harmonia's gonna pop a clog when I show you to him. Oh, right. Yes, it must have been quite a frightening experience hurtling through that wormhole. I get it if you'd rather I took you home. Where are you from, anyway? You can't remember? That is worrying. Perhaps the wormhole scrambled your memories a bit. I think it would be best if I took you back to the lab for some tests. Would that be alright? Oh, I almost forgot about these three rascals. Kid from the wormhole, meet Bulbasaur, Litten, and Sobble. I was originally tasked with rounding them up just before I found the wormhole. They've actually been good company during research hours. Hey, they seem to have taken a liking to you. Let's take them back to the office in Castella together now. It seems my work out here is done.
Welcome to Castelia City. This place will of course serve as the base of operations for the rest of this game concept, and it's a place you'll return back to between your visits to the various areas that Unova has to offer. Unlike Pokémon Legends Arceus' Jubilife Village, however, this hub acts as more of an area of its own. You'd be able to find various stores and battle facilities throughout this area, as well as the occasional city-dwelling Pokémon to capture, such as Pidove or Magnemite. Despite being 70 years before the one you know, the city is not drastically different, although there are noticeable changes. Before the glowing billboards and company towers you may know, Castelia was filled with thievery and petty crime. Away from the bustling high street, the back alleys were home to rival gangs who vied for territory in fierce battles. In order to combat this, the Plasma Investigations Office was formed, an independent detective agency made to quell the unrest throughout Unova. It is here where head scientist Constance reports her findings, studying Pokémon and developing trinkets to aid in investigation. She leads you through the Castelia main street, as various citizens in suits and ties walk by you, alarmed at your casual attire. Eventually, you reach a large building in the city centre, with an engraved silver plaque placed beside the grand doorway. Constance opens the door for you.
Welcome to the Plasma Investigations Office. Please, wipe your shoes, otherwise Im's gonna be on my case again. Here, let me give you the grand tour. First, on the left, we have the medical sector. This is where Freya and her team will patch up any bumps or scrapes you might end up with while out in the field. It's important work, you know. She's fixed me up once or twice in the past. Freya herself is sweet, although not the best for conversation. She's a fine nurse, though. Second is the supply sector on the right here. It's where we store all the supplies that Lillian brings in for missions. Weapons, Pokeballs, some cool gadgets if you know where to look. It's mainly just a storage room, but Lillian likes to think it's her office. She can be a bit brash, but she always keeps us stocked up. We actually get on quite well, would you believe it? Oh, there's nothing to see in this one. It's just a closet. Yeah. Alright, fine. Don't tell anyone about this. This is the spy sector. All sorts of secret dealings go on in this room. All run, of course, by the mysterious Agent M. She'll never tell me what the M stands for, no matter how often I ask. We don't get to see much of her, nor do we get to see much of what happens in this room. I'd say the life of an agent is busy, but honestly, I think she's just a bit too cool for the rest of us. Then, of course, we have the best sector in the whole building. My sector, the surveillance sector. Can you believe it? Little old Connie in charge of her own sector. My job is to document all the data we find during a case and file it. Although sometimes I get to go out and look at Pokémon, since that's what all the cool delinquents are causing trouble with these days. That's the part I love. The Unova region is such a diverse place. Even our own city streets are teeming with rare Pokémon to be found. That's not all I do, though. I also develop machines in the basement, or as I know it, my lab, for the whole team to use. I make all sorts of gadgets and gizmos down there. And finally, the big one. This is Detective Harmonia's office. Well, on the other side of this door, anyway. He's the leader of the whole office, the big boss who solves all the cases and brings the bad guys to justice. He's a pretty big fella, kind of intimidating too. But don't let that fool you. He's a softie really, with a heart of gold.
Constance, what's with the racket out there?
Ah, perfect. Looks like he's in. He's going to want to meet you.
Ah, Constance. Finally back from that ridiculous portal quest, are we? I trust that it was a wild young goose chase after all. Oh, who might you be? Who let this kid run around in here?
Detective Harmonia, sir. May I introduce my latest discovery? The kid from the wormhole. They fell right out of that portal thing just this afternoon. Pretty exciting what a surveillance sector folks can find given a chance.
You're telling me a whole child fell out of that thing? Oh, Arceus. And you brought it here? Constance, what were you thinking?
But sir, this is the scientific discovery of a lifetime.
Yes, well, there's certainly gonna be a lifetime worth of paperwork to fill out after this mess. What am I supposed to do with the kid from another dimension, Constance?
Why don't we ask them, sir? Do you remember where you came from yet?
No memory, eh? Well, kid, I must say I'm just as intrigued by your situation as I am annoyed by it. Stuck in a distant time and place, with no memory of where you were, and no way to return. It does get the old detective mind racing. Still, I'm not exactly thrilled to have you in the building. Who knows who, or what, you really are.
Sir, I don't imagine you need to worry about them being an alien or anything. They seem pretty harmless to me.
One can never be too careful in times like this, Constance. Who knows who could be behind the sudden arrival of this child?
I suppose so, sir.
You know what? It's getting late, and this is no time to be discussing these kinds of important choices about interdimensional children. We should all get some sleep, rest our heads. We can figure out what to do in the morning. Here, you can have the key to my spare apartment for the night. It's not far from the office. Constance will be able to show you the way. Just don't go puking up all your nasty alien goop all over the place now. I'll see the both of you tomorrow morning. Punctual, please, Constance. It's the least you can do after this.
You head out of the Plasma Investigations office and stroll around the corner to the place Harmonia mentioned. You enter the apartment building and turn the key in the lock. After an exhausting day, you quickly fall asleep on the single mattress on the floor. Psst! Hey! While you're asleep, let's take some time to reflect on some of the characters you've met during the story so far. When developing a concept for a Unova Legends game, I felt it was important to populate the story with lots of ancestors and relatives of pre-existing characters from the Unova you know, as well as the Pokémon world at large. Of course, you just met the members of the Plasma Investigations office, but before we take a look at them, let's first take a quick look at you, the player. The first thing you might have noticed about the avatars for this concept is that they don't really go together. Pokemon Black and White's Hilbert and Pokemon Black and White 2's Rosa aren't exactly a pair, but I felt as if it would be cool to represent the protagonists of both of the games here. I started first with Rosa, sketching a pose where she holds a magnifying glass, since you'll be acting as a detective trainer in this game. To differentiate her design a bit, I lowered her hair donuts too. Her overalls and shirt weren't too difficult to come up with, but it took me a bit to figure out her shoes and hat design. Also, if you notice, the connectors on her overall straps include little plasma logos. Next, Hilbert's 1940s look. I know I wanted to put him in a fedora, since it's as funny as it is fitting, so I sketched out a classic hats off pose. Hilbert wasn't too tricky either, sharing a similar outfit to Rosa to keep them connected. I made their other skin and hair colour palette swaps, and voila, here's Detective Rosa and Hilbert, or as they go by in this game, Rosie and Herbert. Lost in time, Herbert or Rosie have found themselves in a very different Unova to the one they left. With natural skill for Pokemon battling and a great sense of adventure, they'll find themselves making the most of their situation alongside the Plasma Investigations office. Up next is Constance, or Professor Constance if you wish. She's the Regent's professor who will be a great ally throughout your journey. She's a clear relative of Colress, although she has a much more excitable personality and is perhaps a little less willing to work alongside criminals. She's fairly physically similar to him as well, wearing the same coat that will assuredly become a hand-me-down in the future. She sports big round glasses that allude to her more nerdy personality, as opposed to Colress's more suave, sexy man brand of intelligence. Leader of the surveillance sector of the Plasma Investigations Office, Constance is a professor who is excited by the pursuit of knowledge, machines, and Pokémon. Her current topic of research is ultra wormholes, leading research alongside another mysterious scientist. Following Constance is the leader of the medical sector, Freya. If you couldn't tell, every member of the Plasma Investigations Office is an ancestor to a member of Team Plasma. But who is Freya? Well, many of you may not be aware of two of the nichest characters in Pokemon history, Anthea and Concordia. Surrogate sisters of N and adopted by Getsis, these two can be found in N's castle and will tell you about his childhood. Freya needed to look like an ancestor to both girls, so I didn't commit to one shade of hair, rather choosing an in-between orange value and creating a mishmash of their hairstyles. It's a slightly more subtle ancestor, which is always fun to include. The name Freya also comes from the Norse god of healing, a reference to Anthea and Concordia's names being named after that god from Greek and Roman mythology. Leader of the medical sector, Freya and her Ordino tend to the injuries of any agents or Pokemon that are harmed in the field. She is an experienced doctor, although is fairly airy, with little in the way of conversation to be had. Lillian is next on the chopping block. She might be another difficult ancestor to place, being related to one of the 7 sages, Zinzalin. While an older woman, I wanted her to be a strong and capable character, so I gave her a large frame that is emphasised by her huge coat, which will become another hand-me-down. I imagine her as quite gruff, with a deep, booming voice, yet friendly, explaining her huge beaming smile. I'm also a big fan of her hair, which I think has quite a befitting style. Leading the storage sector, Lillian is a friendly face who carries crates and supplies between the office and the Nakreen warehouses. Helped by her Conkelda, her immense strength comes in useful around the office. Here's one of the more interesting characters, Agent M. A clear ancestor to the beloved character of N, Agent M was made to fulfill the femme fatale archetype, being a beautiful woman who, in this case, doubles up as a specialist in espionage. Translating N's scruffy charm into sleek beauty was a challenge, especially with the spiky elements of his hair. I ended up working them into her fringe well enough though. She also has a few of N's trinkets. I couldn't find anywhere in particular that N canonically got these from, so here's that explanation in the case that there truly is nothing. Leader of the spy sector, little is known about the life of Agent M. Enlisted by the Plasma Investigations Office, she is able to deal with some of the more high-stakes infiltrations and espionage missions that the office must complete. It is known she has a Pokémon partner, although no one who has seen it was left alive long enough to know what it is. Finally, Detective Harmonia. Leader of the Investigations Office and a clear ancestor to Getsis. Unlike his despicable counterpart, Harmonia seems to just be slightly grumpy. I wanted to create that chief detective persona with the trench coat and fedora. I ended up being extremely inspired by Skullgirls' big band character. Possibly a little bit too much, as I used his fantastic coat design for Harmonia. I made a few changes, but the noticeable lack of arms stayed the same. It's an interesting design choice to keep, but I stand by it, as it references Getsis' one arm he hides in his official art and game renders. I also think it makes him look secretive, as if he's always reaching for something inside. Leader of the whole operation, Detective Harmonia is in charge of prosecution as well as the rest of his team. Despite his rough and dry personality, he cares deeply for his employees and works tirelessly. He also sometimes brings his son into work. Well, that's everyone so far. I hope you enjoyed seeing me make some ancestors. If you're working on some new Pokemon designs, I promise they're coming up soon. Happy dreaming and good luck. You've got a big day tomorrow.
Hello. Yes, welcome. Please, take a seat, Space Child. Look, I'll be blunt with you. This is a lot to be thinking about. I mean, space portals? As if I didn't have a whole region to keep in check. You're a whole extra lillipup on my leash. I honestly considered kicking you out of Unova altogether. Make you some other region's problem. But there's something going on in Unova right now. Let me tell you. Things going missing, Pokemon going wild, unrest in Castelia. It's insane. I've spent the last few nights looking into recent files, but there's nothing but a few hoodlums. No one checked ends, no clues, and no leads to speak of. Except you. I'm not sure what your role is in this, if anything, but you're honestly all I've got. These portals haven't been popping up for long. There must be a reason, and I bet you're just as curious as I am to understand how you ended up here. Am I right? Good answer. I suppose I'd better lay out the deal. In exchange for letting you stay in that apartment, you have to come work here at the Plasma Investigations Office and help me with this case. There's places all over the region you can scout out. Plus, I'm sure all the other sector leaders would really appreciate some help. You've not got anywhere else to go, so I'd be taking this offer if I were you. So, kid, what do you say? Great news! I'll get started on the paperwork and you can go on.
Detective Harmonious, sir! The most awful thing has happened!
Lillian, what could be so awful to make you burst in here like this?
The Nakreen warehouses, sir! Looted! The whole lot of them! The folks at the Dreamyard Manor say it's a wreck over there! What are we gonna do, Detective?
You know, Lillian, this could actually be a blessing in disguise. I'm sure it's nothing more than petty thugs, and this would be a perfect opportunity to train our new recruit here. Going to the Verdant Woodlands on your first mission, eh? So, kid, what do you say?
Oh, thanks, recruit. I'll be waiting on Thumb Pier when you want to leave.
Well, kid, one last thing. Before you go, give Constance a visit in her lab. I think she has something that'll help you out on your trip to the Woodlands.
Welcome back. How'd it go with Harmonia? You're working here? The warehouses got trashed? A trip to the Woodlands? My. It's all been much more exciting since you arrived to Unova. What's that? Some kind of gift? Ah, yes. You'll need a Pokémon if you're going to be adventuring in the Unovan wilds. You know, people and Pokémon are very different. We've just started letting Pokémon into our cities, but not every Pokémon is as friendly as the ones in the office. You'll need a friend to protect you, especially out in the wild. You've met these three before. Why not take one with you? What's that? You can't decide? Well, why don't you just take all three? They'd only be sitting around in the office otherwise. Take them. Hey, don't go celebrating yet. If you want these starters, then you'll have to pull your weight for the team. I want you to record all the different kinds of Pokémon you meet in the Verdant Woodlands and report back to me. Use this. It's a set of files known as the Pokédex. They made one of these things over in Sinnoh a while ago, and I think Unova has just as many interesting Pokémon to discover. The more Pokémon you survey, the more your office rank will increase, so make sure to find as many as you can. Alright, new recruits, good luck out there.
Welcome to the Verdant Woodlands, recruit. This area is comprised of sprawling forest as far as the eye can see. Whilst not particularly dense, the trees surrounding your initial surroundings seem to be teeming with Pokémon. Currently, you find yourself on a small beach below a cliff that's covered in the trees.
Hey kid, warehouses are on the other side of this forest. Why don't you hang around this little area first, though? Try and train up your Pokémon in case we have to fight those bandits.
And off you go. The journey begins. This area encompasses the beginning section of Pokémon Black and White, as well as the surrounding late-game surf routes. Right now, you find yourself just below where Unova Town will one day be, and you feel a pang of nostalgia somewhere in your heart, although you have little idea why. Right now, Lillian will only allow you to explore this small Unova outcrop grove of trees, but there's plenty to find out here. Pokémon such as Lillipup, Patrat and Purloin can be found right off the bat, and if you're lucky, you might even spot an Ordino or a Jigglypuff around this area. There's also Basculin you can see just off the coast, but you're not quite able to reach them yet. Beware though, alpha Pokémon such as Stoutland, Liepard and even a particularly obstructive Licky can be found prowling the Unova outcrop. Eventually though, you manage to record most of them into your Pokédex, updating their case files accordingly, and you report back to Lillian on the beach.
Nice job, kid! Hey, you got quite the knack for this stuff. I'm sure Constance will appreciate the surveillance and all that. I reckon old Harmonia might even give you a star ranking for your efforts. No time to head back now, though. We've got a thief to catch. The warehouses are on the other side of the forest, so get ready for a long trek. Let's go, recruit.
Finding your way to the back of the first small area, you'll see that the land raises up slightly, with only a little break in the cliff to allow passage. It seems like you'll need to pass through it if you want to access the rest of the woodlands. You stroll along the path until up ahead you see a figure blocking your way.
Hey, kid, buzz off. This area is closed. That's right, the whole woodland. We have to cut down a very large tree. Yeah, can't have it falling on you. Alright, wise guy, I'm sick of the charade. I'm going to give you a beatdown for being such a smarty pants. I'm a performer at heart, so why don't you put on a show for me?
Uh-oh, your first trainer battle. It seems like she's more of a singer than she is a Pokémon trainer, so you should be able to take care of her no problem.
Go, Illumise!
Oh, this isn't a Pokémon you see too often in the Unova region. It's a little bit stronger than most of the common Pokémon you've faced thus far, but you should be able to take it down without too many issues.
I'm I'm definitely not getting paid enough for this. Look it, I level with you. Pokemon battling isn't exactly my sharpest seller, but still, you really shouldn't be here.
What's going on here?
Instead Plasma Investigations Office Lady. Look it, I've got to scram, but still, don't stick around. You won't like my next performance quite so much.
Now what was that about? Are you alright? Who was that trainer? How odd. You know, I can't imagine a musician having much of anything to do with the warehouse raid, but we best stay on our toes nonetheless. Anyway, feel free to explore more of the area before we check out the warehouses. I'll meet you there, recruit.
Exiting the Unova outcrop, the whole woodland is at your fingertips. The rest of the Verdant Woodlands is split into many areas with a variety of different Pokémon to find in each one. The area you've just entered is the Tranquil Thicket, a serene section of woodland with dense trees and soft light filtering through the leaves. Quickly, you start to see Pokémon like Pidove, Blitzel and Pansage wandering the area, with menacing Alpha Zebstrika, Watchog and Tranquil patrolling the premises. The land opens up to new locations in each direction ahead of you, with the reflective Cumulus Lake ahead, the mysterious Misty Moon Forest to your left, and the open lavender fields to your right. First up, let's take a look at the Misty Moon Forest. This mystical grove of trees features a host of new Pokémon to be found. At night, the moonlight glistens as it filters down to the dewy forest floor. In the shimmer, you'll spot Pokémon like Suwaddle, Venipede, Petilil, Cottony, Lickitung, Igglybuff, and Jigglypuff. But try not to attract the red gaze of a Leavanny, Whirlipede, Wigglytuff, or Lilligant if you want to keep your Pokeballs. Heading further left, the Misty Moon Forest leads into the deepest wood, a dark and dense part of the woodland filled with extremely strong alpha Pokémon. You're probably not ready to tackle that yet, so let's check out another area. The lavender fields to the right are a wide open meadow covered in gorgeous pink and purple flora, with a selection of fauna to match. You can add Krogunk and Mona to your decks, as well as catching a few extra Pansage, Pidove and Blitzel. You think that you see a different shaped Pokémon galloping into the brush at the top end of the field, but it disappears before you can get a good look. No matter. Instead, you can face off against Alpha Ordino, Unpheasant, and Musharna. Finally, you venture back up and towards Cumulus Lake, which houses a variety of water-dwelling Pokémon, such as Tympole and Palpitoad, Panpour, Yanmar, and Basculin, if your Pokeball throws can reach into the lake. Watch out for the Alpha Toxicroak and Seismitoad patrolling the lakeside though. There's still a few areas left to explore, but for now you should have captured a decent selection of Pokemon to add to your team. You push past the border of trees at the back of the lake and finally reach the Nakreen warehouses, with Lillian closely in tow. The warehouses resemble a small settlement, being dotted around a dusty field with small paths interconnecting them. Currently, it's clear that the storage facility has seen better days.
What in Arceus' name happened here? My warehouses! They've been completely trashed! Who would do something like this?
The thick wooden doors of each warehouse had all been blown off of their hinges, and the splinters strewn about the dusty path.
Man, this is gonna take years to clean up. Hey kid, you're supposed to be the detective here. You look around for any clues on where the perp may have ran off to, and I'll see what I can do to fix this mess.
Searching the Nakreen warehouses, the area actually also houses a few Pokémon. Timber, Sork, and Throw can all be found carrying their own supplies around the area, with some particularly strong Alpha Throw and Girder doing the majority of the heavy lifting. Inspecting the warehouses themselves yields few results, but there is a notable lack of scorch marks where the doors were blown off. You investigate each plot, one filled with medicine, one with battle items, one with old files, Pokeballs, gems, and minerals. Interestingly, the stock seems to be neatly organised, as if nothing of note was really stolen. Finally, you reach Lillian in front of one specific warehouse.
Completely ransacked. Oh, I understand the rest of it, but why would anyone go around thieving plants?
The warehouse in front of you contains nothing but seeds, plants, and bags of fertilizer. It's in particularly bad shape, with seeds strewn across the floor and plants ripped from the soil. You stop to consider this for a second.
So you're saying nothing was actually stolen from the other warehouses? My. The plot thickens, recruit. But what could anyone possibly want with a bunch of flowers? Perhaps we'd better return to the base and see what Harmonia
Oh, you're finally here! Good heavens, you took long enough! You are from the Plasma Investigations Office, correct? You must have gotten my message. The name's Rosalind. I sent you the message about the warehouses.
Oh yes, Rosalind. From the Dreamyard Manor, I presume? What brings you all the way out here?
There's been another robbery! My darling Pokémon was taken in the night. Stolen by some vile rapscallion who broke down the fence too! It's madness! I never would have believed there was such villainy in this peaceful woodland. You must help me, detective.
All right, slow down, Missy. One crime at a time. Where did you last see your Pokémon?
Down in the stables by the manor. Follow me. I can show you.
I don't know. We kind of have our own Magikarp to fry over here. What do you think, recruit? Sharp as always, kid. Come on, let's go check it out.
Heading left from the Nakreen warehouses, you find yourself entering a new area. An extremely large, stately mansion stands contrasted against the surrounding greenery. A harsh white building that has an air of majesty and class about it, the Dreamyard Manor. Home to Rosalind's upper-class family and legion of working butlers and chefs, the family enjoy a cushy life in the country, enjoying all manner of leisure and posh activities. You're free to explore every floor of the manor, interacting with Rosalind's maids, butlers, and chefs to receive a few items and quests. The manor is fronted by a moderate gated field, with stables at the lower end. Covered in pretty daisies and well-kept grass, the meadow is maintained by Rosalind's family. Just outside the fence, the grass has been scrubbed dry and turned into a dusty loop for riding, a favourite pastime of the residents of the Dreamyard Manor. In fact, the meadows are littered with their choice steed, Mudbray. However, this might not be the Mudbray that you know, trainers. Unlike the black and white after it, Old Unova's specialised terrain and much untamed wilds allow Pokémon from other regions to change and adapt, resulting in a brand new form for Pokémon just like Mudbray. Let's take a closer look at the Pokémon that inhabit the Dreamyard Manor's grounds. My main concept for Unovan Mudbray was to turn it into a pony. As a general rule of thumb for the new forms in Pokémon Legends Taorum, they'll be designed to reflect a piece of historical American culture. This is usually from around the time when the game is set, being the 1940s, but the concept stretched back to the Wild West and up to the 1980s. This concept specifically is a reflection of a certain American character stereotype from many movies, that being the rich pony girl. Many of my absolute favourite characters have features of the rich girl trope, from Pacifica Northwest to Hilda Goneril, so it's a stereotype I'm interested in anyway. I already knew the kind of character that Rosalind would be when designing this form, and I wanted to create a Pokémon that reflects her. She was the rich country girl begging daddy for just one more pony, and each Mudbray represents all those poor horses. However, I wanted the Pokémon themselves to represent the rich girl stereotype as much as the girl whose butlers look after them. That personality will become far more apparent in the evolved form though, as this first form is used to convey development in personality and is more based on a younger, slightly nerdy girl who the rich girl might pick on. If you look back, I initially played around with teeth markings similar to braces, and added a line across the front of the face to simulate glasses. It has little freckles too. I also turned the mane into big pigtails, which fits a nerd but also is generally indicative of a child's haircut that will show growth into a more teenage evolved form. The hair is blonde because the blonde rich girl stereotype is as old as time, but it's also meant to be hay, which ties in with the obvious pony inspirations. A very light pink colour to reference its fairy type, and voila! Introducing Unovan Mudbray, the pony Pokémon. A pure fairy type. Mudbray and Unova have been bred to be much more glamorous than their Alolan counterpart. Without hard work to be helping with, they live a life of ease and focus on grace and beauty over muscle and stamina. Despite this, they have natural brawn and can support a human on their backs for riding. Their hair is comprised of a rough hay-like substance, which is bunched together either side of its head. Despite their hair being so tough and bristled, Mudbray will groom themselves until they have the silkiest possible mane. If you want to catch one of these ponies, you're going to need to find a way into the Dreamyard Manor's front gardens, or the Mudbray Meadows, as is their official title. There doesn't seem to be a way to get past the fence, but you do spy a spot where the wood has been trampled and broken, granting you entrance into the field. As you get closer, however, you spot a person tugging a very unenthusiastic Mudbray through the break in the fence, with a large sack in hand. You approach them to get a closer look.
Come on, you silly Pokémon, move! Ah! Who are you supposed to be? Oh, well, you know, just some, important work rounding up this Mudbray. Yep, that's what I'm doing. You know, those folks in the manor should really clean this place up a little better. Patch up some of those awful cracks and breaks. Who knows how many more Pokemon could have escaped?
Oh, Comet, my sweet Mudbray. There you are. Oh, thank goodness! I thought I'd lost you. kind sir! Wherever did you find her?
Ah! It's a lady from the Dreamyard Manor. I just found her. Around here, you know? Nearby.
How odd. I remember checking all around this area. Still, I can't thank you enough for rescuing my fastest steed. Let me write you a check to properly compensate you. Who should I make it out to?
The name's Carmelo, ma'am, and that's very sweet, but really, it isn't necessary. I should actually be...
Yes, of course. You're right. It would be much easier to just hand you the money here and now. Lucky I always keep some notes on my person. Here, let me put it in that bag of yours.
Wait, no, please, don't touch that.
Oh, I'm dreadfully sorry, Carmelo. Let me help you with... What's all this?
Those are the plants that were stolen from the warehouse!
What? Stolen? No, I picked these myself.
Don't play stupid with me, young man! Spill the details! Unless you want my conkeldur's fist through your face!
Fine. You win, okay? I did steal the plants from the warehouse. So what? I'm pretty sure you can cope with some missing lavender.
Maybe so, but 8 counts of property damage can't be taken so lightly. I'm guessing you used that mud bray to break down the doors, too.
You stole Comet? And you made her do your dirty work, too! To think I was about to give you money!
Yeah, okay, so I wrecked a couple sheds. Big whoop. Look, we've got big plans right now, and I don't need you guys ruining my chances of success. This is important stuff.
Well, unlucky for you, pal. You won't have much chance for any big plans when you're behind bars. You're coming with us.
Oh yeah? Well, you'll have to catch me first.
Suddenly, Carmelo makes a sharp dash, gathering the sack he was carrying and jumping backwards. He lands on top of Comet, the mudbray he was bringing back to the meadow, and delivers a giddying slap that sends her shooting off down the track.
What's up with all these musicians running around today? In any case, we gotta catch up with them somehow. I'm not sure what he's planning, but it can't be good.
Detective! Mr. Carmelo has my fastest mudbray! If you're going to try and catch him, you'll at least need a seat of your own.
Saddle up the recruit, huh? Doesn't sound like the worst idea ever. Think you can close the gap, kid? He might be fast, but he's fenced in. It'll be close, but I reckon you got it in you.
Well, I guess we won't know unless we try.
Rosalind delivers a very high-pitched whistle. This catches the attention of a few of the mudbray, and one of them gallops towards you.
All right, detective, get on. You've got a thief to catch.
Alright trainer, ready your mudbray and brace yourself because you've just received your first ride Pokemon of Pokemon Legends Taorum. Mudbray isn't very big, so it'll be quite difficult to handle with your long legs out either side, but you'll have to manage. Right now you're confined to the loop surrounding Mudbray Meadow. Carmelo can't go far, but you'll have to catch up with him if you want to get back Rosalind's Mudbray. You set off, slowly gaining speed as you race around the track. This teaches you how to control your ride Pokemon, with hurdles to jump over and barriers to avoid. After one full lap, you understand a little better how to ride, but Carmelo is still far out of reach.
Looks like you're getting the hang of that mudbray, detective. How about I spice up your ride a little?
Carmelo opens up his bag and reaches into his pocket, pulling out a small piece of cloth. Quickly, he stuffs the lavender into the cloth, fashioning a throwing balm, while still riding his mudbray.
How do you like this?
Carmelo begins throwing these balms at you from in front as you slowly begin to gain on him. You'll have to avoid getting hit by the balms if you want to gain ground though. They're coming hard and fast, so stay on your toes and keep advancing.
What? How are you avoiding them so well?
You inch closer and closer, getting ready to apprehend Carmelo as you avoid the bombs. Suddenly though, he stops throwing and delivers another slap to his mudbray, speeding ahead much further than you can ever hope to catch up as you finish your second lap.
I told you, Detective. Comet is the fastest steed in the meadow. There's no way you'll be able to catch up to Mr. Carmelo.
You look Rosalind directly in her eyes, seeing her sadness at the loss of her Pokémon. You hold the rim of your cap and turn towards the track as you giddy your steed. Off you go. One more try. You begin to ride, faster and faster. Your mudbray is using all its energy, so you pat its mane tenderly as you try to keep your balance. Balms and obstacles start coming again. You avoid them effortlessly, but it's still not enough.
You're too slow.
Suddenly, a blinding light shines from beneath you as you begin to pick up extra speed. Quicker and quicker, you feel the tension in your mudbray, trying its best to gain any ground. The gap starts to close as a stream of light trails from your steed. Brighter and brighter, soon you're enveloped in the wonderful golden energy of evolution. About a year ago, I entered a contest for an Instagram account where I designed some starter final evolutions based around the Western USA. While these weren't my best work, I actually ended up winning the contest. The account has since rebranded and removed the designs, but the concept of the grass starter that I came up with is still one that I enjoy and decided it would be perfect to reuse from this Mudsdale form. You might be able to see the design in the top left, but the concept behind it follows trends of 1980s Valley Girls. This fits in perfectly with the rich girl inspirations of the line I have going on already, as the two often overlap. As I said before, this Mudsdale variant goes full on Regina George mean girl, being a snooty and slightly cruel popular kid from a rich family. I tried to tie in all sorts of high school fashion and feminine features, giving it luscious lashes, flowing hay hair, and a typical bow, which is typical of horses too. Some of my favourite details here are the ways in which I tie in the fashion elements specifically. I gave her markings to look like a jacket, and also used the hardened mud around Mudsdale's legs to now be those goofy leg warmers that women used to wear in the 80s. Which I think is a perfect way to tie those two concepts together. I really struggled figuring out the ponytail here, since I knew I wanted one. Originally, I wanted it to flow down the back like a real pony mane, but I ended up having it be rigid, extending straight behind it as if it was trailing in the wind. I think that doing this suggests that the design is moving fast, referencing this form's newfound speed, but also resembles tied up bales of hay. Finally, I got to line art in colour. I knew that I needed some kind of vivid pink in the design, and my plan was to mix it in with more traditional horse colours, as to not make it look too fantastical. But I quickly realised the yellow of the hay hair made it look too much, so I muted the pink a bit and added an extra blue colour to balance out the crazy colours, which I think ends up working surprisingly well. Overall, I like what I've done with this design. I think that Mudsdale's original design doesn't particularly fit this feminine concept, and while I've made changes to account for this, I think that many of the shapes and features that are baked into the Pokemon don't mesh super well. However, I don't think that's a bad thing. Keeping some of Mudsdale's more unorthodox, horsey shape language reflects some of this Pokemon's cruel tendencies, and its muscular frame works well for a ride Pokemon. You'll have to tell me what you guys think though. In the meantime, introducing Unovan Mudsdale, the Valley Pokemon, a pure fairy type. The Mudsdale of the Unova region can often be petty and mean. Usually found in stables and fields, these Pokemon have a heightened sense of social awareness, separating off into cliques to chatter about other Mudsdale. They care deeply about their appearance too, finding the prettiest flowers to decorate their intricate manes with. Contrary to their names, they hate mud and try and keep as clean as possible at all times. Despite their cruel behaviour amongst each other, these Pokemon get on well with humans and are extremely loyal steeds.
What? It evolved! You've gotta be kidding me!
Mudsdale and Unova have a significant speed increase from their Alolan forms, so you quickly and easily catch up with Carmelo ahead. Mudsdale plucks him off Comet with its teeth and lays him out on the ground.
Oh, my wonderful Mudbray. Wait, I'm sorry. Mudsdale, you evolved!
Alright, you half-wit, what's really going on here? Nice riding, by the way, kid.
Alright, fine, I'll tell you. I've been given a job. The boss says it's important stuff. Gotta steal something from the Abernest Arena. Says it'll finally put us white bear ticks on the map.
The white bear ticks. I should have known.
Ah, recognize the name, do ya? I guess that makes me famous. Look, this has been fun, but my partner's waiting, so I've got to dash. Don't wait up.
Wait a second, we aren't done.
But Carmelo slips away before anyone could even lay a finger on him.
They're a very dangerous gang from Castelia. Been causing trouble around town for years. What's most important now, though, is that we put a stop to them. Whatever they're up to, it can't be good. The Amber Nest Arena is just west of here. Come on, let's end this.
Hey, trainer, I can't thank you enough for your help today. You seem to be in quite a rush, so, as a token of my gratitude, you may call Mudsdale to ride upon whenever you need. All you have to do is whistle. Good luck out there.
The west side of the Verdant Woodlands is home to 3 areas that we've yet to explore. The woods get really thick around these parts, meaning that they are often very susceptible to Pokémon attacks when trapped between the trees. This is nowhere more true than in the deepest wood, an area filled to the branches with almost exclusively incredibly strong alpha Pokémon. It's also incredibly dark, as the thick canopy blocks out the light, so you have to find your way by the few lanterns placed around and avoid the glowing red light of Alpha Eyes. Here you can find Alpha Herdia, Stoutland, Lipard, Yanmega, Sork, Throw, Zebstriker, and Whimsicott. This is an area for the strongest of the strong, but if you're patient and quiet, you may be able to snag yourself a Snivy from up in a tree. If you're able to make out the other side of the deepest wood, you'll be treated to the Desert View Stretch, a high-up cliffside that looks upon Costelia City across the water, as well as the Carmine Drylands, a huge expanse of desert featuring a whole host of new Pokémon. This thin stretch of cliffside is home to a few special Pokémon. Pansear, Ordino, and even a special Eevee can all be found here. However, the main draw of this place is to find Flabebe, a Pokémon that is not usually found in the Unova region. They reside in groups around the area, and you should definitely pick one up and try to evolve it down the line. You can only access it by passing through the deepest wood, so snag some of these rare Pokémon as a reward. Watch out for the Alpha Simisear though. Finally, you reach the Amber Nest Arena, a wide open field nestled in the middle of this dense forest. At its head, a towering tree with vivid golden and red leaves, thick and circular in shape. The branches are coated in silk and various thread, and the roots twist below the earth, rending the ground and opening up a small tunnel. The tree is visible from far away and seems to glow in the night's darkness. The open area ahead of the tree is also illuminated, but this time by the luminous bodies of Volbeat and Illumise, who litter the area like a huge party. As you enter the area through the trees, you hear fast footsteps coming up to you, or could they be running away from something?
Bree, we really have got to get out of here. Ugh, you again! You know, I'm getting real sick of seeing your ugly face around these parts.
Wait, you know this kid too? You're really starting to be a thorn in our side.
But you know, you don't need to get in our way anymore. We're done here, actually.
Yep, things haven't quite gone to plan.
The Pokémon of the forest are not too thrilled with us.
We were supposed to use the lavender bombs to calm them and sneak past, but we ended up getting swamped and had to run.
Now the Pokémon are rampaging. It's a wreck out there.
But hey, it's not all bad. At least no one will be able to steal the treasure before we come back tomorrow with some help. Not unless they can take on the Pokémon of the forest.
Wait, you're serious? You're actually gonna battle the Pokémon of the forest? Don't make me laugh.
I don't know, Carmelo. I battled them, and they were pretty strong.
Really? Bree, the boss is going to freak if he hears some kid got to the treasure before us. What are we gonna do?
I guess we better stop them.
Yes, you're right. This one's for messing with our plans, kid. My name's Carmelo.
I'm Bree.
And we're the musical duo that's gonna knock you down.
Alright trainer, it's battle time. And this one is a lot more difficult than the first. This fight is a double battle. Well, on Bree and Carmelo's side anyway. You'll have to face them with just the one Pokemon at a time.
Go, Swadloon!
Go Whirlipede!
Bree and Carmelo each send out their first Pokémon. You have had ample opportunity to scrape together a Pansear or a Pidove to deal with these, so this shouldn't be too much trouble even if you didn't choose something like Litten.
Ugh, that's it. Go, Volbeat!
Let's go, Illumise.
The duo release their signature Pokémon. They have some strong moves like Signal Beam, Dark Pulse, and Dazzling Gleam, but they aren't the strongest Pokémon in the world, and you should be able to take care of them fairly swiftly.
The boss
is going to
gonna
kill
kill
us.
us.
Beaten by a kid. I don't think believing this one on Carmelo.
I think we best make a swift getaway back to Castelia City before this gets even more embarrassing. But hey, good luck with dealing with the Pokemon of the forest. You'll need it.
Aw man, they got away again? They're a slippery bunch. But nice job anyway, kid. You finally put a stop to them. You need to battle the Pokémon of the forest? Are you sure? That sounds mighty dangerous. Are you sure you'll be okay? Oh, I suppose you're right. Plus, Harmonia will be interested to see what exactly the white bear ticks were after. Still, the boss Pokémon at Unova are nothing to sneeze at. You'll need some kind of calming agent if you want to stop their rampage. Lucky for you, those hoodlums prepared the perfect thing. Good luck, Detective. I'll see you in a few.
You approach the huge golden tree at the head of the Amber Nest Arena. As you stroll up, the Volbeat and Illumise of the area spot you and jump into action. They line up either side of the open section, Illumise on the left, Volbeat on the right. The Volbeat bow courteously in unison, as the Illumise curtsy. Eventually, you reach the foot of the tree. Below the roots, there's a short tunnel that leads to a pedestal at the back of the dugout hole. Upon it, there seems to be a grey rock of some kind, carved into a semicircle shape. You step 1 foot ahead and feel a sudden prickle on the back of your neck. You look up and step back to see something shaking in the leaves above. The shape seems to dart around in the branches, rushing around while the Volbeat and Illumise drop their heads in respect behind you. Suddenly, the shape splits into two, and 2 huge Pokémon come flying out of the tree straight at you. I'm not sure if you managed to pick up on this or not from the subtext clues, but the first bosses of this game concept are going to be evolutions to Illumise and Volbeat. The decision to have 2 simultaneous noble Pokémon fighting at once is an interesting idea, but one that I didn't come up with until I thought some more about the design inspirations of these evolutions. So let's get started with Illumise's evolution. Illumise itself is already based on flappers, which is a very American concept, and made it a perfect candidate for an evolution in Legends Taorum. Flappers were a subculture of young women in the 1920s, who flaunted their disdain for stereotypical societal norms of behaviour through their outfits, haircuts, and music taste. As a result of the suffragette movement, women were achieving more independence and freedom to express themselves, and flappers were some of the first results of that. As far as designing the Pokémon itself, I struggled to incorporate the elements of the fashion perfectly, and had to give it a few attempts. Almost immediately, I knew the antenna would act as one of the elaborate headpieces that come with the fashion, as they are often feathers in the real outfits, but I think they get the message across here with the antenna. That was the easy part. I wanted to convey the feminine aspect of this Pokémon, but without making the design too uncomfortable. My first attempt was quite skinny and had a clear cutoff at the chest that suggested a dress, but this made it way too humanoid. What I did take from this first draft though was the way I worked in the hair weave and bob curls, and how the wings stand in for the draped strings and feathers that were on many flapper outfits. Moving on to the next attempt, I created a face that I was much happier with. Making the nose smaller fixed a lot of the issues here. The reason Illumise has a nose in the first place I'll never understand, I wanted to keep it for the sake of cohesion. Accentuating it less was helpful for sure though. Another excellent idea I had in this second draft was creating a large scarf-like neck and chest section of fluff. Despite this Pokemon being a firefly, this is quite a bee-like feature, but I think it works brilliantly. It makes the chest area look less odd, removes the need for an uncomfortable neck, and stands in for the actual feather scarf that a flapper may wear. I went back in to try for another skinnier look, but quickly re-evaluated that idea. Instead, going with something a lot more bottom heavy. This was a great concept, as it much easier works in the tail light of this Pokemon, and it's just a more interesting silhouette altogether. I was super happy with this design, but before it was done, I wanted to repose it. Illumise and Volbeat have this very cute back-to-back deal with their official arts. I wanted to keep that up with their evolutions. Plus, it really needed a more interesting pose. This third draft fixed a bunch of the skewed proportions it had going on and just made it a lot more interesting. I drew the line art and finally the colours and shading. Unlike many Pokemon evolutions, the colours didn't really change here from Illumise. I don't know, I just liked how they looked without changing at all. It needed to show its relation to Illumise, and with another very similar Pokemon alongside it, the colours help to distinguish which is which. Speaking of which, let's move on to that very similar Pokemon I was talking about. Up next is Volbeat's evolution, and let me tell you, this was probably the Pokemon I had the most trouble with designing in this entire project. I tried design after design, not really liking any of them. Eventually though, I ended up with something decent. Volbeat is based on a greaser, which is another American subculture from around the 1950s and 60s. This subculture included predominantly Latin Americans and Italians who were living in the United States. It's also a pretty well-known character trope, often being the bad boy of movies. While many Greasers were women too, movies like Grease, as well as Volbeat's 100% male gender ratio, perpetuate the bad, playboy, streetwise Greaser stereotype. The fashion of Greasers include the slicked back hair, sunglasses, jacket with popped collar, and boots, although when I designed my Volbeat evolution, many aspects of the Japanese version of Greasers, known as the Bozuzoku, crept in, such as the inclusion of a pompadour in a few of my drafts. I think that this is fair game though, as, being from Hoenn, this is probably what Volbeat's original basis was. Initially, the hairstyle was the thing I was absolutely set on, wanting to replicate a concept that worked so well in Illumise's evolution, that being shaping the antenna in a way to suggest the iconic hairstyles of each fashion. Pompadour antenna surprisingly did not work. I tried making it a cowlick instead, slicking back one to suggest the other iconic hairstyle, but it just was not working. So if you're confused by some of my strangely monstrous attempts at this Pokemon so far, Just know that I was also very much set on a top-heavy design for this Pokemon, to contrast Illumise's evolution. This should work well for Volbeat with the popped collar and masculine frame, but I just couldn't quite get it. One interesting avenue I explored was a super beetle-like form for the Pokemon, with a huge arching back. I loved this, and it would have worked well elsewhere, but it didn't really mesh with Illumise very well. I thought eventually I'd found something that I was happy with this next design. Incorporating one large curled antenna was decently silly, but it worked well enough as a pompadour. Plus, I was starting to like the face as well. I quickly went in for that sketch of the back pose, but I realised it just didn't look evolved enough. Height is not often on the side of wider designs, and I quickly began to feel that this would be a disappointment to anyone who managed to evolve their Volbeat here. So I kept playing. I went with a bunch more hairstyle replacements, all of which looked ridiculous, and eventually I scrapped the original body completely. I went back for another go, trying various mouths and crests. I worked on the body too, and I finally found something that worked. A very thin and curved glow tail was satisfying and worked to add height and changes while still looking developed. I emphasised the collar and kind of gave up on the antenna. Having them lopsided just wasn't working, so I settled for 2 cowlicks, which works fine. Stuck with the same colours again after the line art. I think I prefer overall the Illumise evolution, but this one's alright. As a pair though, I think they work really well together, and there's some pretty decent designs. Here we are, the first bosses of Pokémon Legends Taorum. These evolutions to Illumise and Volbeat are known as Shimmerid and Nebuluka. Shimmerid is known as the Glowfly Pokemon, and is a bug and fairy type. Bathed in the glow of the moon, Illumise find Volbeat partners and engage in a beautiful dance on a special night of the year. This allows one lucky Illumise to evolve into Shimmerid. As Shimmerid, their dance style is fun and freeing. They love to dance more than anything and will get quite distraught when the party concludes. Often they will leave their group of Illumise to travel the region, looking for new and exciting spots to dance the night away. In the end though, they'll always come back when they hear the cries of their dance partners in the night. Nebuluka are also known as the Glowfly Pokemon, and it is a bug and dark type. This Pokemon is often hesitant to dance alongside others, as it likes to maintain its aloof and aggressive persona. However, their dance partners are often able to break them out of their shell and allow them to enjoy themselves. Nebuluka are often a little stiff, but possess great rhythm and have a style that involves striking bold poses and doing fast movements. When not dancing, these Pokemon are fairly standoffish, picking fights with the Pokemon of the forest. They can only be calmed down by a Shimmerid, at which point they become fairly lowly and passive. These two contrasting personalities both share a love for dance that will be the basis of this boss fight. In fact, the Pokemon would not entirely be attacking directly at you, which would make this 1v2 as your first battle a suitable difficulty, and instead their dance would tear around the battlefield and you'd have to try to not get in the way while you throw your bombs. The dance would be inspired by scenes from West Side Story, which is a story that features many of the subcultures and archetypes that Illumise and Volbeat are based on. The movie features a plethora of dance styles. So many of these Pokemon attacks would be inspired by styles like the Mambo, but some ballet elements in there too. These movements are pretty quick and snappy, flying and gliding in and out. One idea that I like that will change the boss battles in this story could be that you're allowed to use and throw bombs from your ride Pokemon throughout the fight. This wouldn't factor in massively against Shimmerid and Nebuluka, but chasing after the Pokemon from atop a Unova in Mudsdale could be a lot of fun. In terms of how fighting two Pokemon at once would go, I just think there would be two separate bars. You'd get a pop-up at the start from Lillian telling you to spread your bombs evenly between the Pokemon throughout the fight. This is because if you focus down one of the Pokemon before the other, their partner would enter a fit of rage, resulting in a much harder second phase of the battle. In this stage, the raging solo Pokemon would fire off violent moonblasts or dark pulses from above, homing in on you as you attempt to dodge at the last second. If you balance the two right, then you should avoid this stage and be in for a fairly easy fight. As far as the actual battle segments go, your starter should have evolved by now, so if you have a Torracat, this should be an easy matchup. If not, Tranquil, Yanma or Pansear should have the moves to take them down, but you can always brute force them with something neutral. Once both bars have been depleted, the Pokemon will fall to the floor, not in pain but in true defeat, kneeling and yielding the win. The surrounding Illumise and Volbeat lift their heads as Shimmerid and Nebuluka gesture to the hollowed tunnel beneath the amber tree, granting you passage. The tunnel is cramped, damp and dark, but luckily fairly short. Crouched over, you inch your way along it, avoiding the large and small hanging roots from the compacted soil that makes up the roof. Eventually, you reach the small carved pedestal at the far end. Something is carved into the stone, a scripture.
To those who have championed this trial of strength and strategy, go forth and champion the ideal Unova of tomorrow.
Above it sits the stone from before, seemingly cracked and split, only a half of what it once seems to have been. You grasp it in your hand, trying not to cut yourself on the shards. With this mysterious treasure in hand, you inch out of the tunnel and back into the sunlight. When you exit, the area is deserted, with all of the Volbeat and Illumise gone, Shimmerid and Nebuluka nowhere to be seen. Instead, a figure stands ahead of you, 7 foot tall and broad-shouldered. They stand, just arms either side, with a wide stance and a tattered cape flowing in the wind. Their arms and legs look clad in something from far beyond this time period, white and blue chrome with deep grey shoulder pads. Finally, a vibrant clouded globe where their head should be, set fast to their shoulders by hard metal. They clench their gloved fist and speak.
You have something I want.
Their voice seems to have some kind of filter, so it's impossible to tell exactly who they are. They take a step towards you, their palm outstretched. They walk slowly and carefully, clearly not for weariness of their suit, but for intimidation and impact. You look down at the stone half you've just acquired and feel compelled to keep it from them, gripping it tightly. Soon they reach you, your frame barely reaching the top of their chest as you stare at their outstretched palm in front of you. You take a step back, and another, backing against the tree behind you. But you have nowhere to go. The figure slowly raises their globe head at you after this act of defiance. They stand perfectly still, pulling their outstretched hand back and reaching behind them, only to pull out a simple Pokeball. You breathe heavily and deeply as they delicately release the ball from their grasp.
Recruit! Recruit! Recruit, can you hear me? Recruit, can you hear me? Wake up! Come on, you gotta!
That concludes part 1 of the Pokemon Legends Taorum project. Wow, an hour and a half and only the first area explored. We're going super in depth here. Think of this series as a true playthrough of the game, with every intricate detail described. Make sure to let me know what Pokemon you're using on your team so far. Have you added any Unovan forms or evolutions? A huge thank you to everyone involved in the project, and to everyone who lent their voices to the characters. All their links will be in the description down below. If you'd like to support the creation of this project and its future chapters, please consider supporting me on Patreon. You'll get some sneak peeks at the next parts while they're still in development. Special, giant, huge, overdue thank you to my current patron, Hannah B. If you're interested in being part of this or future projects, or if you just want to send me a message, shoot me a DM on Twitter and Instagram at RiomaArt. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you back in the Unova of old next time on Pokemon Legends Taorum.